I gotta admit, I am having a lot of fun with this show. This has been so much fun so far. I really love doing this. I am not a professional videographer. I am not a professional editor. I'm just a 44-year-old unproportioned ginger that likes talking to other sober people. That's it. Just a dude. I hope this never feels like a job. I never want it to feel like a job. I don't know if I can keep doing it if it feels like a job. I'm getting so much out of this. I hope you are too. If not, then watch me grow. Watch me grow. Just remember you're special. Episode 7. Damn. Today we got David Clemen. I've known David for a good long while, I think. I don't remember ever meeting David. I just remember David has been there, and he's been very kind. He's one of the first people that approached me after I got sober at the comedy club. Good dude. Always had nothing but kind words. It's really cool to talk to somebody, and while you're talking to him, you realize, holy balls, this guy knows who he is. Like, he knows who he is in his new skin, and he loves it. He's happy. It's just a beautiful thing to see. We had a great talk. David has his own podcast, Recovery Nuggets. It's great. I've been on it. He runs a really good show, asks perfect questions. And you're going to see what I mean when you look at this guy and hear him speak. Here's a dude who loves who he is and knows who he is. The new version of himself. Here's David Clemen.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you celebrated 8 years recently.
Just over 7, yeah.
Over 7. Okay.
7 in May, yeah. What was your sober date?
July 8th.
Of?
06.
06?
Yeah, 18 years this summer.
Dang, man.
Yeah.
Congrats,
yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a journey.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This show has been held to people with 3 or more years.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling I'm probably going to have to let that go at some point.
Yeah.
But, man, I have been hitting the money when it comes to, because that's what this is. It's because your life changes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's early sobriety. There's like 2 or 3 years. And then after 3 years, you go through these stages.
Oh, yeah. There's been some stages for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What would you say was like the worst stage you've had in the 18 years?
The worst stage is probably learning about my responsibility and all the stuff that went wrong.
Yeah.
Because that's like the mirrors now. I can no longer blame circumstances, people, places, and things. It's like eventually I had to look at me and like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I played a big part in this, and this. And like the most painful part was going through a divorce.
Right.
You know, but the hardest part, I guess, internally was really taking a look at like, oh, I played a big part in this.
Right.
You know, because of my perceptions. And a lot of those perceptions were misguided, uninformed, but they came from, you know, like thinking a certain way about maybe a boss or the government or my parents or whatever, when really I was just being an asshole or and feeling entitled.
Yeah.
Stuff like that is hard to really, but when you write and you share it with someone and then it's like, it becomes so clear that, yeah, the drugs were a big problem, but if that was the answer, what was the question? What drove me to them in the first place? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So once I got to the exact nature, then it was like, oh shit.
Did you ever figure, like, everybody, that's a good point, and that's something that has been nice for everybody to kind of bring up, and you just naturally brought it up. Like, some people are, you know, Tony said it the best. It was like, you know, drugs and alcohol, of course, are the biggest part of being an addict because it gives you all the serotonin and dopamine that you want for it. But it's, you know, he's got like 33 years, he said, and it's like, it's anything that he starts to want to obsess, and it's mostly, if not all, inanimate objects.
Mm-hmm.
And that blew me away because I am so impulsive.
Oh yeah.
Like, do you have something to where it's I just had that word on my tongue
And it's gone.
and now it's fucking gone. Like when you say that, like the thing, you mean, like, elaborate a little bit. You mean like the things you did when you were using or drinking, of coming to terms with?
Yeah, well, even before, like, obsessing on an argument that I had in third grade, and I'm still trying to fix something that was totally out of my control.
Yeah.
Or, I used to work Parks and Recs, and I was in charge of handing out the T-shirts to all the kids that I worked with in the summer.
Uh-huh.
And we got 2 for the summer. By the end of the summer, I had a drawer of like 30 shirts because I would just, instead of washing the ones that I had, I just would take another 1 or 2. And so it's like this, it's that more thing, the desire for more.
God,
So
it
doesn't matter what the thing, the compulsion, the action is. If it's soothing whatever's bothering me, then I want more of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can obsess on anything.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah.
Equipment right now is mine.
Yeah.
I got soft boxes coming today. I can't fucking afford.
Right.
But I was like, hey, I got a $50 gift card. They're on sale from $199 down to $150. I can do this right now.
Boards, like, what's the best one? I
yeah.
don't want the deal. I want the best deal.
Mm-hmm. It's got to be the best, and
yeah,
it's not the best.
Right.
I have to remind myself. I don't know if you have to do this. I started doing this thing that again, Tony was talking about, where he gives himself I can't remember if it was 3-day or 3-week. Like, you don't do anything for this amount of time. And if you still are all about it that amount of time, then you can go ahead and get it, because something else will take your mind off of it.
Yeah.
And that I've started doing that.
Yeah.
It hasn't worked for me.
Right.
Like, I'm still so obsessive.
Right.
I'm just grabbing the other shit to start focusing on this again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I think that the recovery part of everything is learning to be functional, participate in my life, and keep that at a little bit better balance. I'm not going to never not obsess on something. There's still things I obsess about, like you're wearing a Carolina shirt. I'm a big football fan, so I read every article I can consume, listen to podcasts about the team that I'm into. Year round, off season, it doesn't matter.
Are you a Duke fan?
Well, I'm talking about Washington football.
Oh, okay.
Like, I grew up a Skins fan.
Oh, okay.
They're the other name now, which to me is it's very generic.
Yeah, you're like, I get it, but it's dumb.
Right, but
yeah,
I think about them all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. And now that it's getting ready to start, and just like, I don't know about you, but when Carolina's getting ready to start a season, I'm
already right there.
You're like, hey.
I bought a $50 little game card that had all these old retro games because it had a college hoops where Carolina was actually in the game.
Right.
Like when I was in Iowa and I had it waiting here for me.
Right.
That's what I've been doing at night.
Yeah.
Like, it's so dumb. Yeah. I'm obsessed with Carolina basketball.
Yeah.
Not a big football fan.
Right. But the obsession, like, the reason I'm obsessed with it is I'm chasing the feeling of when they won Super Bowls when I was a kid and my dad would take me to the park and practice. I remember that feeling. So they've sucked for 30 years, but there's that's my team. I'm still wanting that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you want that feeling.
And that doesn't have anything to do with me putting stuff up my nose or drinking myself to death.
Right.
It's like I'm chasing a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So did you go to treatment, or did you just kind of
the first time that I had a problem, I went to detox, then I went to IOP.
Mm-hmm.
But I did that. This is when I was around 27. Yeah. But I did it for everybody else. My parents found out I'd been stealing money from my dad.
Yeah.
I did it for them, my best friends, all that. So I wasn't really ready. The best thing that came out of that was when I was ready, I knew where to go as far as 12-step went, which is my story. That 12-step worked for me.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody, but it worked for me.
Right.
And it still works, but that was the best thing that happened that first round. But it took me almost 4 years to actually get the gift of desperation to where I really wanted to do it for myself. Like, I was sick of it.
Yeah.
And that was probably the most monumental shift in why my recovery is different this time.
Yeah. How long did it take you after you went to detox and IOP before you were back?
I relapsed about 10 months later. I'd moved back to New York City, kind of fell in the same patterns that I was doing.
That place will do it, man.
Yeah.
Like, that place will do it. I know a lot of people love big cities, but to me, it's I couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the first time I lived there was fun. I was working in fashion, art, film. I was doing the dreams. I was everything I went up there for, I was doing.
Yeah.
Going to fashion shows, volunteering to dress at fashion shows, working in fashion, like all that stuff. But I was also going to the parties.
Right.
And during fashion season and towards Christmas, it's open bar almost every night.
Every night.
And the designer I was working for, he would get these invites, but he was kind of reclusive. And I'd be like, "Are you going to this?" He's like, "No." And I'd be like, +1. And so I would go, And so then eventually found out about delivery service, and then for drugs, and it just went, it spiraled pretty quickly. You know what I mean? And so I remember being at a party for Elizabeth Arden read this opening for some kind of makeup. And growing up, I always liked watching Robin Leach, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Who didn't? It was great.
Well, he walked in with 2 women on his arm, and I'm like, I've made it. Right? Here he is, okay?
Just from seeing him with 2 ladies.
Right.
I've made it.
I made it, but turns out I was the guy in the bathroom doing drugs, and he was there because of who he was and his work and his life.
Right.
And it was just, it started to become like, oh, it's not happening how I thought, because I keep going back to the drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And what's the worst part about that period was my ego was getting bigger. Meanwhile, my inferiority complex was outdoing the ego. So it's like this, it's just a clash of the spirit, really. And so it's no longer about the work, it's about the party, and the people that are still working and doing why they're up there with their dreams, they're seeing different results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's entertainment is hard when you're an addict, because that was mostly my deal. Is when we weren't playing a show or I wasn't on the road, I had to get that high from something, And there's more downtime. People actually think like, oh yeah, it's a highlight. No, it's fucking not. Like, you're on a stage for like an hour tops. As an opener, like we were 30 minutes, and then the rest of the time you're sitting on your ass, and it's dangerous.
Right.
I would never go back into that lifestyle. I actually got a call last week for some film stuff, and I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good. Like,
when I hear film, I'm like 15-hour days to do a scene for 20 minutes or something,
Yeah, but the money is kind of where I was like,
right,
oh,
right,
man.
the money. But I mean, from what I can see, and you've told me, your life, this is your life. It's a good life, like family.
I like it.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice. It's stressful.
Yeah,
but I think coming to terms with not being, and I hate to say it because this sounds arrogant, because I still even have an ego.
Yeah,
I do. I'm kind of a diva a lot. Like, been performing most of my life. It's kind of hard to get rid of that overnight. To not be the Billy Rame that I've always worked for, and now I'm just Billy. Like, that was kind of hard to come to terms with.
Yeah.
But, honestly, Tilly, the kids, and Robin have made it a lot easier than it would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you say, like, I'm just Billy, it makes me think of, people in 12 steps, and I don't represent any of them. I just
Right.
was my thing, but anonymity is a big thing.
Mhm.
But for me, for them to say, we don't care about your last name was a good thing for me, because there was a lot of legend in my own mind when I was using and doing all that stuff,
Mhm.
to where when you take my last name out of it, it's like, we care about how we can help you.
Yeah.
And so let's take the name out of it, the last name, which to me is, I'm David Clemen. Don't you know who I am?
Right.
When the ego was so inflated. When you take that last name, it's like, let's bring it back to right size.
Mhm.
And so it just kind of, it reminded me of that.
Yeah. No, that you're completely right. And treatment, and when I was doing the program, like,
Yeah.
the 90 for 90.
Yeah,
and
and that's
I
part of
still
your
went.
story. I know
Yeah,
it's part of your
it
story.
is. Like, and it's, I still was angry that I couldn't use my last name.
Mhm.
Like, my last name, there's not many of us, So I'm like, this
you know
is
who
me.
I am?
Don't you know who I am? Like, I was just,
Right.
it's still hard. It's nice. What I'm trying to say is, it's nice to actually feel the waves calm down.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. It's now when I wake up in the morning and I'm instantly stressed, it has nothing to do with what I did or who I said something wrong to or where my car is or who I have to apologize to. Now it's, holy shit, okay, I got to get a kid here. I got to get back to work here. This house is a disaster. You know what my favorite thing is right now, David? Folding fucking laundry.
Shit's the bomb. Man.
It's so cool. I'm
a big fan.
It's awesome. I will do laundry, and when I hear that little I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
And I'll go and I'll turn on my laptop or the projector or TV, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll just sit there and fold laundry.
That's my favorite thing in the fall when I'm watching football or college basketball.
Yeah.
Got the game on, and Janet a lot of times will do she'll throw it in the washer, but she'll pull them out. I'm like, let me help you. Because when I lived alone, that's one of the things I love to do is like, I'm watching TV. I'm not even thinking about it, but that fresh thing of towels or shirts and socks, it's like so satisfying.
It is. It is. I don't have many clothes.
Yeah.
Like I do, but I don't.
Right.
Like I live in this house. I don't leave much because I work from here. My family's here. Normally, this is the first shirt with sleeves that I've worn in about 4 weeks. Even when we went up there, I was like sleeveless all the time.
Yeah.
Like my old holy shirts. But it's so nice to like get your favorite shirt out and you know that it's ready to wear.
Oh yeah.
And you know what fabric softener you used.
Oh yeah.
You know how, and a freshly made bed at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That is like watching porn. It's wonderful. And
it's just,
when did that come about though? Because I have no idea where it came about for me to where these simple things are giving me the excitement.
Oh yeah.
That getting high or drinking.
Yeah. And to follow that up, the dishes. I was telling somebody last night, I would eat cereal off a plate with a fork.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Instead of doing the dishes, like that would be the last man standing. I'm like, F it.
Did you just buy styrofoam at some point to be like, I just don't
Paper
want
plates, whatever. But,
But
now I don't like dirty dishes. Like, I don't like them pile up. It's like, eat a meal. It's kind of that Zen master. Even the Zen master washes his own bowl.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's those simplicities. Like, I know when I go home, it's going to be a fresh made bed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to us.
Yeah.
But it's nice.
It's nice, man. And
it's big. It's big.
I think this is why I'm good with people in early recovery, but I have a hard time in talking like I was talked to in early recovery. Like, you got to go do this. You got to go do the meetings. You can't. Now, I will say within the first year, you have to do, and I'm not saying you have to, but if you want the best results, you do need to find a home group. You do need to do the 90 for 90. You do need to find some sort of community that is sober for it. Because if not, you're going to end up an asshole. You know, you have to be able to find, I loved I'm still friends with people. There's not many left.
Right.
But I'm still friends. Like I've had most of them on these episodes, you know?
Yeah, the community's big.
It's huge here and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
I haven't found one. Now I don't go to meetings as much as I used to. I do if I need to. Yeah. Like if I even have an inkling that I'm going to have a problem, I'm like, all right, going to a meeting. Like I'll take off work. Work's so cool that they're just like, yeah, okay, good. We need you to be on game. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'll pay me to go. Like
that's great.
It's nice. They're supportive on it. I also, it's hard for me to talk to somebody in early recovery without being like, this is what you have to look forward to. And you can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. But as I've said on here before, I didn't, and I always feel bad for saying this, I didn't struggle like a lot of people did. Like I hit a wall, I went to treatment, and I've luckily stayed sober.
Yeah.
You know?
But it sounds like you were done.
Oh, I was done, dude.
That for me, it was the gift of desperation. Like I'm done. I was thinking about it today at work about we were going to do this and what I was feeling before I got clean. And I remember going to Fat Tony's downtown and just drinking before I was getting into whatever. And I just remember, why do I keep doing this? And then seeing the same old people at the bar with that pain in their eyes. They're there, but they're just doing it out of like automation. And I just remember thinking like, there's got to be something different.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, like for when I talk to newcomers I really do just share my experience, you know, like I don't say you got to do this, you got to do that anymore. I find that it works better if I say what I did was this, and I found that it worked very well for me. And then because, you know, the best way to get an addict to not do something is to tell them to do it.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I mean, the rebellion and the...
I was so hard-headed with the sponsor.
Yeah.
I had 2 sponsors kick me out.
Yeah.
And I was so hard-headed with them. Like, you need to read this and do these steps. I'm like, I don't see the point.
Right.
Like, you can't tell me. I'm Billy Rame. You can't tell me what to do.
Right.
I still have those moments.
Yeah.
Not as much. Because my life is now devoted to the people I live with.
Right.
But I still have them when people outside this house tell me to do something, you know? I had a sponsor tell me one time, it was like, hey man, you're a really nice guy. I can definitely tell that you really want to do this. I wish you the best. I hope I never see you coming back here and picking up a white tag again. He goes, I don't know if you will or not. Normally I can tell, but you're too much. It's either you're non-existent communicating, or you're very, what'd they say? Not stern, was intense. I was very intense on it. And I bet I was. I mean, that was a lot of shit to give up at once.
Oh, yeah.
And try to find something, like comedy was the release.
Yeah.
You know, and back then we had the basement, which was great.
Yeah.
And it was like every night I was there. Whether there was something going on, I didn't even care. Like I was fucking watching improv.
Yeah.
I hate improv. And I was there watching, going, ah! Like I loved every second of it.
I remember when you first got sober and you were doing that bit about yoga.
I forgot about
Yeah. You're doing a bit about yoga and then let out a big ass fart. I remember that.
You know, a funny thing about it is like I did go to a yoga class. Yeah. Nobody farted, but I did bust out laughing from the thought of it. And I fell down, and they were like, "You gotta go." Like,
that's awesome.
Do you feel that if you could go back to 18 years and okay, let me ask this question first. In your 18 years, when did you ever have a moment, and when was it, you know, timeline wise, that you were like, you woke up or had a moment, you're like, wow, I haven't thought about that in a while.
I don't know the exact, you know, it's hard for most people to say the exact day. It was pretty early on.
Yeah?
It was pretty early on because the first year, not like the first couple weeks.
Right.
I mean, I remember coming home from, well, let me back up. When I quit, I went from trying to go to sleep at 7 a.m. to within 3 weeks, I secured a job that started at 7 a.m. And then I had started going to meetings. So when I had like the gift of desperation, and then I was actually asking for help from someone else, not people telling me I needed help, because I was the last to know I needed help.
Yeah.
But once it was like a heartfelt kind of ask for help, then the help came immediately, and I was willing to do it. So then my life, I remember that old life stopped almost immediately. The phone rang maybe once or twice in that first week or two of people like, "Oh, you going out tonight?" And then once I was committed to what I was saying.
Right.
The phone stopped ringing because misery doesn't want that kind of company.
No.
So then it almost immediately switched, and I got this job. I started at 7 a.m. Then I was going to the gym, and then I was going to meetings at night. So it was a quick turnaround. Now I still thought about using and what was I missing or whatever, because the mind would be like, oh, I should go check on that dealer and see how he's doing.
Right. We're friends.
Right.
We're
friends.
buds.
Right.
Yeah. He loves me.
But I remember just waking up and hearing the birds.
Yeah.
They weren't pissing me off.
Right.
That was good. Because I remember when I would try and go to sleep at 7 a.m. after a long night.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't get the room dark. The birds were pissing me off. People cutting their grass on a set. Just whatever,
Yeah.
But being into this, it was like I was living in a different town almost immediately, because I was going to a job from 7 a.m. till 4:30. Then I was going to the gym. Then I was going to meetings and churches for the most part, which are like quiet, calm places. So almost immediately the momentum of my life just switched. And then I wouldn't see any of the people from downtown. Very rarely, or I'd see them at the grocery store, but I'd see them maybe in the beer aisle or whatever, and I'd just keep it moving.
Yeah.
And the phone didn't ring anymore. And so I started to hang with people that were trying to do something different.
Right. Right.
And so that's when I started to feel like some gratitude and learning about like, oh, this is different.
Mm-hmm. Like I had a moment, and this is kind of like what I mean. Like I had this moment of when Tilly was like 3.5. She was sick, and I stayed out of work to stay home and take care of her, and we both took a nap on the couch. And I don't remember what the dream was about, but I do know it was me being with old friends and me drinking. And I woke up covered in sweat. And Tilly woke up with me because we were both napping on. She had like a fever, 101 or something. I don't even. And she woke up and she was like, "You were so wet, Daddy." I'm like, "I am." And then I remember that dream, that panic of, holy shit, I just wasted that time. All that work is down the drain. What am I going to do? I'm not going to start over. So is that just it now? This is me now? And I came back to reality and remembered that I'm in this house. I have this little girl that depends on me, and she's looking like straight at me and a little worried. And then it, like this overwhelming just calmness came over. It's like, it was just a dream. Yeah. And then I had a moment. I was like, I'm never going to be that again. I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, she will never see that.
Right.
And then ever since then, I'm like, I'm so much more calm about the things, the people, places, and things that I've fought so hard to keep away and stay away from.
Yeah.
Now I'm a little bit more lenient of like, I don't like going to breweries. I haven't been to a brewery. Robin likes every now and then she'll have a drink.
Yeah.
We went to a birthday party at a brewery and I was fine with it. Like they had like a NA beer there and I'm like, and I drank and I'm like, this kind of tastes like shit, but I'm going to drink it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I drank it. Most of it was like that much left, got a bottle of water and then just hung out. Never thought about it.
Yeah.
Like it was one of those moments where it's like, wow, it's not that I've done it because you never do it. Like it's not complete, but it's like getting a promotion to you're not washing lettuce anymore. Now you're on the grill. Yeah. Like it was just a great feeling to me. That's kind of what I meant. Like, did you have a moment to where you felt like, oh crap, I've kind of promoted myself without knowing it?
Yeah, I think there's so many. 18 years is a lot of
There's
different,
a lot
of different moments. But
you probably gonna have a couple promotions. Like,
well,
you're like
I think
manager now.
Well, I think learning the first job I got when I got clean paid $10 an hour. This was in '06, so that was pretty humbling.
Yeah.
And then I got a couple of raises, and instead of getting bombed when I would get a raise, I started to just celebrate the wins as I went. Because, any windfall of money when I was using was cause for going out and blowing all of it.
Oh, yeah.
And so then I started to have these little moments that were really, they were only important to me. But like when I quit smoking after 2 years, I never had issues with the utility bills anymore because I'd let that go too. So it was these little, like, oh, I can do this shit. And then I started going shopping for my house. Like on the weekends, I would buy a new light fixture. I would look at YouTube. I would change it. It was stuff like that my dad was doing when I was growing up. On the weekends, he worked on his stuff. He took care of
He's so lame.
He's so lame.
And now you got your own Bed Bath & Body membership card.
Right, or whatever. I'm going to Lowe's, and then I start running into my buddy Paul at Lowe's on Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. Because it's fun to me.
Yeah.
So there was these subtle changes, and I'm like, oh, I understand my dad even more now.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the work ethic both my parents had. They both still work.
Yeah.
My dad's retired, but he lives in Florida, and he cuts people's grass in the neighborhood. He's going to be 74 this fall.
Man, you got baby parents.
Yeah, yeah.
How much older are you than me? I'm 44.
I'm 52.
Are you 50? You are not 52, motherfucker. Shut up.
Yeah, July.
You're not 52.
I just turned.
That's ridiculous.
Last Sunday.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you, man.
I think you're fucking full of it, but
July 28, 1972, man.
Man, you look good, homie.
Thank you.
You look good. My dad is 80.
Okay.
I think because I'm that good of a son.
Yeah.
Like he's either 79 or 80.
Uh-huh.
My mom is 84 or 85. Because I'm that good of a son.
Yeah. Do you have siblings?
No. Spoiled rotten.
Either, yeah.
To the core. And they didn't have money. Like there wasn't any money, but when I wanted something, I never had to pay for it all myself.
Right.
Christmas time was like,
yeah.
Like I look at the shit that my kid, Christmas time is still a battle for me because I'm like, I want to give the kids everything.
Right.
But Robin and her ex-husband never did that. Christmas time was for clothes that you need, underwear, socks, and one toy. And I'm like,
and your inner only child is like,
what the fuck is that? Where's these game systems and bicycles? I'm gonna get Tilly a Power Wheel that's shaped like a Batmobile. They're only $800. It's Christmas, and I don't have $800. I've never had $800 in my bank account longer than 10 minutes. Never. It's never gonna happen, and I'm cool with that. And now I'm pissed off that it's never gonna happen. But yeah, they don't like. I don't. My dad still does it. Like he still does that. Like he was in the hospital for like 4 days. It was a big thing. The hospital fucked up and he fell and hit his head because of too much blood pressure. Anyway, my dad just signed away. Nobody needs to get in trouble for this. We won't sue. And I'm like, yeah, motherfucker. And he was supposed to wait 1 week. He got out on a Monday and he waited till Thursday. And I was supposed to be there Friday morning to cut the grass. And I'm like, Dad, I got a therapy appointment. I'll be there by 10 and I'll do your grass and your neighbor's because he cuts the neighbor's grass. Right. It's elderly as well. Well, I shouldn't say elderly. She gets around better than both of my parents. And I got there. Not only had he done his lawn, done the gutters, her lawn, he cut the fucking 35-year-old's grass. It's just fine to do it himself.
Yeah.
And I was mad at that guy. How you gonna let that man go cut your grass? You bitch.
Is that here in town?
That was in Leland where they live. They moved here like right before Tilly was born.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's nice to have him this close. But he still does it, man, and I don't know how they do it. Like do you think you have the same work ethic as your dad, or do you think your dad's is stronger than yours?
He is a maniac.
Right.
He's a workaholic because he basically was on his own from 15 and he's like, I don't quit, son. I don't give up. That's just, hey, you suck it up and deal with it. That's his motto.
So no, you don't.
No, but I do have a good work ethic.
Right. I do.
Now, here's the thing about people that are in recovery that are addicts or, whatever. We all have these assets. And what I've noticed is they have resiliency and a tenacity, because if you are willing to, like, for me, I couldn't buy beer one night. This is after a late night, but I had a bunch of half bottles, but they had cigarette butts in them.
Yeah.
But I had to get that alcohol.
Right.
So I figured out a way to strain that cigarette butt out of there, get that warm alcohol to get one more. Like, there's a certain, like, I want that one more. And so most people that were in addiction did some things that they're like, how did they do that? They just didn't give up. So if you take that same tenacity and resilience, and once you're clean and sober or whatever, and put it into your, like, everyday normal life, like paying a bill or going to the work, it's not that hard.
It's true.
It's for me. And so the work ethic is there because now I know what sacrifices both my parents made, And so now I just have an inner drive to, like, if you rest, you rust.
When did that hit you? About what age did that hit you?
Well,
that level that you have now of work ethic. I'm asking for personal.
Yeah. Well, it's even more now because there's a part of me, it's like I'm running out of time.
Yeah.
I had some stuff that I wanted to accomplish, like buying a house and some things and having stuff for retirement that I was too hard-headed when I was young to even consider it. It got in the way of, like, my addict financing.
Mm-hmm.
That's first. And then all the other stuff was like, well,
yeah,
we'll pay that bill eventually.
Well, yeah, we'll get a next.
Now, this is all at the worst part of when I was in addiction, But now it's like I'm more in the mindset of money comes in and it's there for a bill, I keep it moving. Because it's like it's an energetic thing. And if I keep showing up for work, good things usually happen,
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. I do not even have close to the work ethic that my dad has. I never will.
Yeah.
Like he's like, what are you gonna do on your day off? I'm like, well, that day off is Friday, and the kids are at school. Robin's at school. I don't know, man. I'm probably gonna clean up the house a little bit. Might take a nap in the hammock, and by then he's already like shaking his head. Like, what is wrong with you? He goes, you're a homeowner now. You need to go get the dirt off of your land, off of your foundation, and get it away from the house. And you've got these shutters back here that you need to take down. You need to trim these bushes so there's nothing there. I'm like, whoa! You just said a whole day's worth of work. He goes, yeah, son.
I love it.
I'm like, all right. He looks at me like, I know he's proud.
Yeah.
He really is. Like, I mean, I gave him the gift of a grandkid, which he never thought he was going to get.
Yeah.
And he's got these other 2 step grandkids that love him a lot. And I'm doing good, which is more than he thought was going to happen as well. Yeah. But he's also looking at me like, oh, you're still a bitch. You're still a bitch. I know he is. And it's fine.
Well, I think it's different too. Like, my dad worked so hard so I wouldn't have to work so hard.
Right.
And so his legacy is a lot different because he literally came from nothing, and he worked for IBM for years, and then he would side hustle, sell car parts, play poker at night. Like, he would do anything to make an extra buck. And so I saw how hard he works. I just work hard enough to, like, manage my life and maintain, you know what I mean? But it's there. Like, I don't like to call out sick or none of any of that stuff.
Really?
You know what I mean?
Oh man, I know my.
Benefits. I will. No, I know my boundaries.
I know my benefits.
Yeah,
like I got them, man. Mental health to me is so more important than anything.
Sure.
Like without good mental health, without a good headspace, I'm worthless to everybody. It's kind of like, and that was kind of leading into another question. That usually we're coming up to the 3 questions I ask everybody, but you're very fun to talk to. So it's like, we'll probably go a little long, and that's all right. Nice. That's fine. You, what do you do for what characteristic from when you used and drank do you see still pop up and you catch it and be like, oh, there he is?
Well, that one, I would have to say is like, it comes from trauma, and it's people pleasing
Mm-hmm.
and looking around to make sure there's no issues. Like if I go to a restaurant, I'm like always on alert.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I go into a social situation, I'm very keen on, is there a problem over here? Is there a problem over here? And so when I get to a place where there's a lot of chatter, or if you can see maybe there's a problem going on, I can't talk to my fiance. My brain is locked in over there.
Right.
So that can come up, especially with like family situations, because I want to make sure everybody's having a good time.
Right.
Oh, does this person like this person? Maybe I could go over there and tell a joke, or like I get into this people pleasing mode, and it can come from old trauma and old triggers, So that's still in there.
So it's like a compulsive, empathetic fixer.
Right. That's still there. But the awareness that I have now, I can identify it. And instead of, one of the best things I've learned in recovery is like in my relationship is if I got something going on, once I am aware of what's going on, I've learned to communicate it to my partner.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things that I've learned is the silent treatment is hostile. You think, oh, I'm just going to suck it up and not say anything. It's actually making the partner, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Is he okay? And then they're walking on eggshells. It's not really fair. If I can just say, listen, this person's going to be around. It always gets me a little weird, whatever.
Yeah.
I got some anxiety there. That's what's going on. It usually goes away because she's opening up to say, okay, I appreciate you telling me that.
Yeah. Is she, because I know how Robin is, she's amazing at this. Like, and you're right. Open 100% transparency is the way to go.
Yeah.
Is she supportive enough to where like she'll, run diversions, be able to pull you out of something if she notices, like she able to read your body language?
Yeah. And we have enough to where I can just say, a little eye glance. But also one thing that I've shared with people early in recovery, like if you have to go to a function where there is going to be drinking or whatever's going on, but you kind of have to go. You don't have to do anything, but you choose to go. Is whoever you go with, you can create a little hand signal. If I like start rubbing my watch or something,
Mm-hmm.
Let's get some fresh air. We can talk about if we're comfortable. And because the worst thing is telling drunk people that you're going to leave is like literally the worst thing you could do. Because no, stay. I love you, man.
You're so nice, dude. Because I am the dick that will be like, you all suck. I'm leaving. Like I get off on being a dick to drunk people.
Oh, now you can.
I do.
Yeah.
It's because that's just like that's the diva side of like I have to make an impression, which is still something I work on daily. And trust me, when you have two teenagers, they humble your ass real quick, bro. But
that's cool to know about your personality. That's your self-awareness.
Yeah,
too.
like you're nice about it, and you're very, and I could have seen that about you because you're very kind, like heart on your sleeve type person, and want to help, and very empathetic, and that's great qualities to have. I do have some of those, but also if I'm not overly blunt to the point where that is, even if it's rude, it's OCD. It's like an itch that I can't get rid of. So when you get this compulsive, empathetic fixer pop up, what is your coping skill to kind of?
Usually once we get home or whatever, I'll go and sit in my office. I'll play Madden or something on the iPad.
Right.
I'll just sit there and meditate for a second. And then once I find out what really triggered me to kind of start to shut down and then also want to fix at the same time, which is a weird kind of juxtaposition, then I can identify it, and then I'll talk to Janet like, this is what happened. Or I could talk to I still have a sponsor that I'll call.
Yeah.
I've got a network of guys that I talk to on Sunday mornings, and we just catch up. It's like a little check-in.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I've got a network of guys I talk to every week. It's not negotiable. We do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in person or
No,
online?
on the phone.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Sunday morning calls. I'll get my coffee. Say I'm going in, make some calls. But it helps me to be able to have that accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And also hear what somebody else is going through, and we talk shop. Sometimes we're not even talking about anything that's going on. It's just like, how was your week?
Yeah.
But it helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great. That's a great way to
And I journal. I've
Yeah.
been practicing meditation for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Went to meditation retreats, and it's just all these little tools help me when I get kind of dysregulated.
Mm-hmm. Like do you find yourself getting less dysregulated as the time goes and your life settles?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So like you mentioned earlier about the waves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when even before I got clean, life was like this. Everything was up and down.
Oh,
Everything
yeah.
was, the drama last night, crash, let's go get some more drama. I was addicted to the fun, the chaos, all that. Then it's like when I got into the rooms, it kind of still went,
Mm-hmm.
because I, just as much as being addicted to the highs, I was addicted to the lifestyle
Yeah.
of the drama and the chaos and what happened.
Yeah.
But as the regularity of going to meetings and working on myself and going to work, and that's the whole thing. That whole work thing really helped me change
Yeah.
because of it was the consistency of learning to, even though it wasn't something I always enjoyed, the consistency of showing up.
Mm-hmm.
And so the showing up is really where it helped my life. It's a little bit more like this.
Yeah.
But last year I renovated a house downtown. It got a little dicey because the neighbor's house looked like Sanford and Son.
Right.
And everybody that came to look at the house said, we love the house, but we don't want to live next to. So then it became, do I want to call the city on this guy who I thought was my friend for 20 years, but once I confronted him about it, that was it.
Yeah, you can't.
And so, but I was
somebody's yard. Yeah, and that's how it's taken with somebody who's not clean, knows that they're wrong, but is not going to do anything about it because it messes with their mental organization.
Right. And he got offended, and
yeah.
But I lost sleep over that and stuff. I was definitely dysregulated during that period, but I didn't want to drink. I don't want to use.
Yeah, like that just doesn't.
It's like,
I'm sure you haven't had that feeling in a long time to where you're like, man, I need to drink, or man, I'm gonna,
No. When I went to open mics a couple of times, one of my opening jokes was I used to do a lot of coke. Now I do a lot of pizza.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, so that's how I eat a lot better than I used to,
mm-hmm.
but you put the stuff down and it's like food,
Yeah.
Food and whatever.
I hated chocolate when I drank and I used, like, I never liked sweets, never liked cakes, pies, chocolate, ho-hos, ding-dongs, Walla Wallas. I never liked any of them. I will smush them all into a ball now. And again, I'll eat them, I'll snort them,
Right.
Man, I went to the doctor yesterday for a checkup and they took my weight. And I was like, oh, cool, I lost 5 pounds. They're like, yeah, but you're up 25 from last year. And I'm like, look, I'm happy. Fuck off. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you, when you kind of just take a second, and if you need a second, it's fine.
Sure.
When you kind of think back about everything that you've kind of gone through in your life, and dreams only last a tenth of a second to a few seconds. We can view our whole lives in a second. When you look back at it, what are you most proud of in this moment about you?
That I'm willing to share my vulnerabilities with others and how far off the path I got, and I'm willing to help others with my experience and share it with them.
That's a good one to have, man.
Yeah.
And you do. Dude. I don't even know if I told you this, but after I did recovery nuggets, right?
Mhm.
After I did that, like, this is gonna go bad and go good.
Yeah.
Like I was so mad at myself
Mm-hmm.
because I got myself worked up so much about just being okay. And I had a guard up that I normally wouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what was going on around that time, but it was a big realization to me that like, Billy, you have a real opportunity with the experience you have to kind of just be nice and help people. Like, it's okay to open up. It's okay to let out how you really feel, but also you don't have to be an asshole about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like for a week after doing your podcast, like I was glad I did it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was just like, you could have said so much better things. You could have like answered questions. It wasn't like dishonest. It just wasn't elaborated to where somebody could get something out of it, to get a nugget from it.
Yeah.
And except wanting to throw a nugget at me. And even when I listen back to it, like I've listened to it a bunch, like it's and I let Robin listen to it. And she was like, you know, you have to think about it like that point in your life. There's been several different variations of me, she says. This one being my favorite because, you know, it's like this. Even when I have a 5-year-old screaming, even when I've got a 15-year-old being a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old being a 13-year-old, it's still this.
Yeah.
Because I know that there's going to be waves and I know they're going to go away. But that was always like a thing that I started to realize and work on myself more. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, definitely.
For one.
Yeah.
Because it really did start like this. It was a year-long thing to where I was like, man, I have some work to do. I'm not as even Steven as I thought.
Right.
And it's time to kind of
So this is what I like about you. Yesterday, you posted the guy was what happened to Billy, the snarky.
He had it coming.
Right. But what I like what you responded with is like, yes, I used to be a snarky kind of a prick about a lot of things, but I'm in a different point in my life where I'd rather be encouraging, open-minded, and helpful because there's enough of. I'm summarizing, but that was cool to me because you're saying, yes, this is who I was. I'm no longer in that box. Will I go there sometimes? Occasionally. But I don't like the version of myself that was. And that's how I would. Like, people that know me now, they go, I can't see you being that guy.
Isn't that the best feeling in the world, dude?
Yeah.
7 years, nobody said anything.
Yeah.
But my wife.
Lily does not know you as that guy.
Robin doesn't know me as that. Like, I met her a year and 10 days into sobriety. She has no idea. But she hears stories from, like, my two brothers that I love dearly. Not biological, of course, but they're my brothers. Like, she hears stories and she's like, there's no way that was you.
Right.
That's horrible, Billy. Why would you do something like that to somebody or say something to somebody? It wasn't like I didn't hurt anybody. It was all pranks and just me being me.
Yeah.
You know, just shooting dicks out of my mouth. Every word was like a dick dagger.
You're right.
You know?
Going for the jugular.
I appreciate you. It's...
That to me that's the type of growth that I like to see in recovery for people, you know, and for myself too. Like someone saying, I just can't see you. Like I'll tell a story of whatever. Like when I used to drink tequila, I always was Western walking. I'm like, come here, you son of a bitch. You know what I mean? They say, oh shit, Clem's Western walking. But they're like, I can't see you like that. Western.
Was it just like a transformation? To where you're like, so tomorrow we'll do this thing. Tomorrow, Sally, we're gonna meet in the yard at noon.
I'm like, come here, you son of a bitch. I mean,
oh my god.
But yeah, man.
I had a Western walk. That's great.
Western walking. So
I love the alter egos when you had that one, like you're at the top and you have that one drop spill over and your whole personality changes.
Right.
Yeah, I had that too. They would call me different things. I guess what that one dude said, the rain train, but I've never heard anybody ever use that term. Right. I was like, how dare you throw that at me?
Right.
I would have had a way cooler nickname than that.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I liked how you responded to that. And that to me is like really the nuts and bolts of recovery. It's not so much that you have necessarily a job and bank account, but it's like, how are we operating in that stuff? Like, how are you operating in your relationship? You know what I mean? And how are you operating when the kids are screaming? Because a lot of meditation, like when you go and they're teaching you, they're like, what we do in meditation is actually off of the cushion.
Yeah.
It's like out of the meeting. It's like the meeting's easy. I'm sitting there. But what are we doing when we leave the meeting? And so that's where that integrity piece comes in for me.
Yeah. I mean, integrity is important.
And it takes practice.
That's actually, oh God, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. To become a good person. And I don't know about you, but I was like, I never, my amends list, if I were to do the steps, my amends list is very short because I was just the clown.
Right.
You know? But I would still say shitty shit. I would still steal. And I hid behind that clown persona to be like, oh, Billy wouldn't do that. It must have been somebody else. And here I am like, oh, I got your money. Ha ha. You know, like, it's a good feeling. And that's one thing I can tell people in early recovery. Like, every feeling that you have, if you really sincerely put in at least the first year on how the treatment facilities and the rooms will tell you how to do it, get a foundation. Like, be able to know that, all right, I have this foundation and now I'm going to build up. You have to learn who you are, because that's the one thing I tell people is once you get a couple years, and that's why I do 3 and up.
Yeah.
Once you hit that 3-year mark, you have a good idea of the person that you can be. You've got that foundation, you know who you can be and who you want to be, and you have the strength to strive for that. What amazes me about like folks like you have like the long term, the 18 years, Tony's 30 years, Lex is 13 years.
Yes, I love Lex. I remember when he came around.
So good, dude.
Yeah.
He's such a
I wish
nice
I had
guy.
talk about work ethic and like energy. I would love to have like a tenth of what he does.
Man, that guy, he pulled up here that night and I looked at your truck. I was like, man, that's a nice truck. I was like, what is it with these nice dudes showing up in these big, nice trucks? Lex had one.
Oh, his is
You see that one wrapped in the flat black?
I haven't seen it. I've seen it online.
Oh,
but
man.
he's got to know.
He comes out, he's just, neighbors are all looking outside.
Oh, yeah.
He steps out, and I could hear the housewives falling down, like, oh my God, gee willikers.
Yep.
But with
awesome.
folks like you that have the time, and it's reassuring to me that I can have a conversation with you and feel on the same kind of level mentally and learn some things from you and be able to have a conversation to where I feel deserved to be in the conversation, which is nice. Because if you remember back to when you were drinking and things and people were talking like you and I are talking, just in general, about having an actual conversation and not seeing whose ding dong is bigger, feeling undeserved of it. And so it's nice that it's like I tell people in early recovery, once you hit that 3-year mark and you can actually have conversations and understand what you're talking about on it. Like, don't make plans before 3 years. Just get a routine. Do what you need to do. Go through the steps. Even though I didn't do it, I do respect them, and I know I would probably be a lot better off if I did. But I'm a dick.
You're like the devil's advocate guy.
Yeah, like I want everybody else to like do the things that are going to be the best for them, but build a good foundation. But I didn't do those things, and I'm okay with saying it. But I also know, like I see folks like yourself and like Tony's gone through the steps a few times, and just friends of mine that have done it. Like my cousin, I think he's got like 15, and he's gone through the steps a couple times, helped people through the steps.
Yeah,
dude is like the people that have gone through that program have this aura and movement about them that's so relaxed, so empathetic, so confident in what they're saying, and so non-judgmental, mostly.
Yeah.
Now
there are some zealots, but that's a whole different podcast. But well, I mean, the thing is like what works for me may not work for you, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But the fact that you put the stuff down and are like, I didn't have these conversations when I was using. It was like, who's got what?
Yeah. No. And
so, that's what's amazing to me about recovery is that like we're sitting here talking about real stuff. You've taken the time to like set this up. You called me. I showed up on time.
Yeah, thank you.
But I'm saying like there was a commitment, and that kind of work to me is super important. It
is.
Because I don't know who's going to be able to get some help out of this episode, but if it's one person plus the two that are sitting here, that's good.
Oh, I'm going to be on cloud nine tonight. This has been a great discussion.
Right.
So I have a whole night to myself, this empty house.
Yeah.
Like I was going to sit around and play video games and stuff. Now I'm like, man, I'm going to edit the hell out of this episode. Make it great. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
No, commitment's everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's a key word that I think I'm going to start remembering for everything. Commitment. Like keeping your word is such a valuable quality that can lead to so many other great qualities.
Yeah. Yeah. How many times did I pull my horse before I got over the jump?
Yeah. Yeah, man.
I was good out of the gates, and then I hit one little bump, and I'm done.
Yeah. One question that I've been asked, like on TikTok and if people want to ask a question, is the WMMD show at Gmail. People talk a lot about the 3, the 5, the 7, and the 10-year itches. What do you do when you do have the instances?
So how do I deal with it? So what I've learned is that I got to tell them myself.
Yeah.
And I can give you an example of being at restaurants and the tray of the cold beers go by in the summer, and the conversation's here, and I'm just staring at it. I looked at that way too long. Okay. And then, so it took practice for me from the beginning, like to continually just tell myself. And the best way for me was that since I had a sponsor, I was able to talk to my sponsor regular. And when I went to meetings, I shared about it, but also the journaling. But I got to tell somebody that's alive, like a person that can say, oh, wow. Because I got to, like when I get it off of me, it tends to not hold as much power as a secret. Because the secret, I'm like, well, they might find out, but I'm really thinking about this thing over here that I really kind of want to do. As soon as I tell it, it's off of me.
Secrets are guilt.
Yeah.
Guilt. I'm so guilty about holding secrets, especially from my wife.
Right.
Like, I can't hold anything. Sometimes she's like, you don't have to tell me that. Like, you don't need to tell me what you thought of that family member of mine.
Right.
Right. Or... yeah, no, I do that.
So that has helped a lot, and especially, it really helps for me to tell someone in recovery. Because if I told my mom or my dad that, they might get concerned because they don't totally understand why I would want to continue to drink after I've been clean this long. But someone in recovery would say, "Man, I had thought about drinking the other day," and then you go, "That was the craziest stuff ever." You know what I mean? So that's really what has helped me the most is to tell on it. Yeah.
That's good to narc on yourself. I'll do it too. You ever play, does Janet drink?
No, she actually got sober the same day as me 8 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Just by chance. She came back from a family thing up in Maine and she drank the whole time and she knew that I was in recovery and she was done with it. And what's cool about that is all of her kids have quit drinking.
Whoa.
Yep. and we're getting married in October.
Man, congratulations.
Yeah, we're getting married, and
so you are going to be a dad,
right?
How old
I
are
mean,
her
they call
kids?
me stepdad, and I'm gonna be, the youngest kids. The grandbabies call me grandpa.
Oh,
So it's like
man.
it's full circle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's got 3 daughters, and
That's so cool.
yeah, I called all of them and asked them.
And you don't got to change. Well, grandbaby, so you might have to change a diaper, but you skipped
What?
all the.
Yeah,
Yeah, and now they're
yeah.
just gone.
Now they're fun. Yeah,
Yeah, now you can just give them back.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man. That's
But
beautiful.
yeah, it's fun. Yeah, she's got 3 daughters and 6 grandkids, and they're all married. They all live here in town.
Nice.
My mom lives here in town, and that's like one of the other gifts of recovery is like relationships coming back
Mm-hmm.
and being solid. Like when I was at my worst, I had 98 missed calls from friends, family, and my mom.
Mm-hmm.
98 missed calls because I was holed up in a hotel room doing coke, afraid of the world, with money I'd stolen out of my dad's safe. This was when I was 27. This was the first time. But like, I made a commitment. I don't screen calls anymore. I don't owe creditors money. I don't hang out with people I'm afraid of. I just don't screen calls anymore. Like if you were to call me, I'm going to pick up, and if you leave a message, I'm going to call you back.
Right.
That's like the clarity of stuff that helps me sleep at night. My mom doesn't have to worry about me. My dad doesn't have to worry about me. These are the gifts of recovery. Like I always share my story. I don't put 67 cents in my tank anymore to go to the dealer. Like I got enough for the stuff, but I only got this much little gas money to get over there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
And that's a good one. And
that's a little thing, but
no, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's actually huge.
yeah.
Because you're right. And when it comes in, you can actually see, like, man, this is what I've heard and watched on TV when I was a kid of what family and friends and relationships could
Yeah.
be. I thought it was bullshit most of my life. And now here's this wonderful, like, I kind of sometimes feel like I'm living Mr. Leave It to Beaver.
That's right.
And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Congratulations on
Thank
your
you, sir.
wedding. We made my day.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, man.
This side of